Well, thank you again, everyone, for joining us for the Share Network Community Partner Meeting. And today we will hear from Andy Rappaport. Andy Rappaport is the project manager for CJE Senior Life, and he will speak to us today on he will speak to us today on some exercise programs that they have. And I apologize, but Andy, if you can introduce yourself, I forgot that as I record, I'm not able to pull up my other screen. So if you can do that for me, and then feel free to share your screen.
Sure. Yeah. So thank you for having me. As Janelle mentioned, so I work for an organization, CJE Senior Life, which is a nonprofit in the Rogers Park area that serves older adults, housing, a variety of social services. My background, I have a public health master's, and I went to Chicago for undergrad. So that's kind of that connection. Dr. Thompson and my supervisor have collaborated on some projects. So there's kind of that connection as well. And I'm really grateful to be doing this particular work and to be talking with you all. So one of the projects that I help to manage involves the delivery of free evidence-based falls prevention exercise classes to older adults. And so we were funded by the federal government to offer these, and we've been offering them for quite some time now via Zoom, almost exclusively. And we have just this array of classes that we're able to offer to people. So I want to talk both about the classes themselves and what they are and how we're delivering them, and then also about some training opportunities that we have to try to further spread the delivery of these programs. So kind of the agenda then is to talk about the different programs that comprise our particular slate that we offer. Talk about how people can participate via Zoom from their homes or elsewhere. And then again, talk about the training opportunities that can exist for staff, volunteers at your organizations to potentially offer these classes directly to your clients and patients. So in general, kind of having a sense of what this means for a program to be evidence-based, and specifically for it to be an evidence-based fall prevention program. So there's a slate of these classes that have very regimented curriculums that have been studied, that have been shown to improve strength and balance and fitness for older adults and to reduce fall risk. And so they've been tested in different populations, they've been studied. There's been work done on behalf of the Administration for Community Living, which is a part of Health and Human Services, the federal government, to kind of validate that these are evidence-based and that they're comfortable calling them that. So doing fidelity checks to ensure that these classes and their particular curriculums are delivered as written, studying the outcomes and ensuring that those outcomes are met across different sorts of people and different groups. And so ultimately, the ACL will designate these classes as being evidence-based, and then the provision of those classes is supported by the Older Americans Act. So again, kind of at the level of the federal government, these classes are sort of designated in a particular way. So we as an organization, as I kind of mentioned, we're a social service agency that's been around for about 50 years. Initially, the goal was kind of to serve Jewish folks, to serve Holocaust survivors, lower income folks who had come from the former Soviet Union, who had fled, Nazi Germany. At this point, we still do serve those populations, but we serve a lot of other folks too, across Chicago, across the northern suburbs. So an array of services, both to folks living in Rogers Park and Westridge and kind of that area, but also folks all over the place, including all around the country in the case of our programming. So as an organization, we provide housing, social services to thousands of folks around the area. Our research institute is run by somebody, her name is Dr. Danilovich, and she's collaborated with Dr. Thompson, a chair in the past. So Margaret is faculty at Northwestern as well, and she's in the public health school, and she's a physical therapist by background. And so we have this research institute that she runs at CJE, and she gets grant funds to do all sorts of interesting projects with an array of different people. So a lot of them have to do with exercise and aging, kind of based upon her background. Some of the projects actually end up specifically dealing with long-term survivors of HIV and the health challenges that they have. Margaret, works with people who are aging with chronic health conditions and kind of the physical therapy elements of that. That ended up leading her and leading us to doing work broadly with older adults of different kinds of conditions and health conditions, but also actually specifically some of the work we do is with older adults who are long-term survivors of HIV and the physical and mental health challenges that they're having as well. So we do kind of an array of different sorts of projects and different sorts of partnerships within our kind of research institute at CJE. So we were funded by the Administration for Community Living via 2 grants, one in 2020, one in 2021, to offer 4 particular programs, 4 particular evidence-based falls prevention classes. So these are the 4 listed there, and I'll talk through each of them. Bingo Size kind of maybe jumps off the page a little bit as kind of a fun name, but essentially all of these classes we offer on Zoom for free through our grants. So Bingo Size, I'm just going to let this video kind of run in the background a little bit. It just kind of gives a little bit of a sense, because again, these classes are offered in, health departments and different organizations around the country in person, virtually. There's, other ways of delivering these. Bingo Size is one of our classes. And so Bingo Size is a kind of lower impact type of class that came out of Western Kentucky University initially. And it's a game that intersperses a few different exercises with some numbers that are called in a bingo game. And then it kind of alternates like that for an hour. So folks get the bingo, folks get the exercise, and there's a good kind of mixture there for people. And so we offer it on Zoom for free, 2 different schedules, Tuesday, Thursday mornings, Tuesday, Thursday afternoons. Trying to skip to the next, here we go. So then we offer a Tai Chi for arthritis and fall prevention. So Tai Chi, as folks may know, a little bit more emphasis on kind of slower movements, kind of the mental and emotional piece, posture, balance, those sorts of things. And so we offer that, one schedule per week. It meets twice a week for 45 minutes. So we have that in the evenings. And this information will be available elsewhere. I'm just sort of talking through the different things that we have. So we also offer a program called SAIL that meets 4 times a week during kind of the lunch hour and central time. So it meets 12:15 to 12:45, Monday through Thursday. And it kind of is multi-component in that a couple days of the week, it focuses a little more on strength. One of the days it focuses a little more on aerobic fitness. And then one of the days we choose to have it focused a little more on flexibility and balance. So we offer the SAIL program in that format. And that one's a little bit more of a higher impact, kind of higher intensity sort of a class. So we have different kind of arrangements for different people. And then I think I skipped past the Otago one here. So the Otago is the last one. We kind of break this apart a little bit. As I mentioned, we have some programming that we try to gear specifically to people who are aging with HIV, also older adults who are LGBT, kind of their friends and allies. So we kind of split this up. We have some classes that we call Otago. We have an Otago class that we sort of focus for those communities. And then we have really the same curriculum that we call Healthy Moves that we offer like 6 different times a week, both a lower impact and a higher impact version. So all these different classes that are, again, strength and balance classes. The lower impact is, more seated and more supported if you're going to be standing. The higher impact is a little more run as like almost a high intensity interval class. I've had to substitute on occasion, and it'll be a little bit more higher intensity for folks. So I just want to show you, these are a couple like testimonials that we had. We've done some interviewing and surveying and that sort of thing, but folks have, had very constructive things to say about kind of, especially earlier in COVID when, there were fewer options available to people, like having the ability to take a class where they don't necessarily even need to leave their camera on. They can do it from home. They can do it from their phone. They can even join just by phone if they want the audio only, if they'd like. I mean, it's on Zoom. So people really kind of have been appreciating these classes. This next slide, I don't know if you're going to be able, let's see if you can hear the sound here. This is a testimonial that we have for the Otago program specifically. So let's see if you can hear this.
Allies of people living with HIV should join this class because it gives us the perfect opportunity to bring up health care. My younger sister has been living with HIV for 40 years and with AIDS for 30, but we don't sit around and talk about health. And so with the class, we were able to form a collaboration around our health, and it made it so much easier. It's been great.
So we have had some folks who really have found some meaning in that sort of family connection. So people taking these classes together and having it foster kind of conversation or connection in that way. I'm finding it's hard to skip slides when when I've got the videos playing. Okay, so that's kind of one side. And at the end of this, I'll sort of show you just, we have marketing materials and a website and a registration link, and it's pretty easy for folks to sign up if you want to share the word with your clients or your communities at all. That would be wonderful. As far as training, kind of the other piece. So training, I mentioned Margaret. So Margaret runs our department, physical therapy background, public health background. So part of our funding as well is that we're able to offer training in these programs to staff or volunteers at other organizations. So that, we have some existing partnerships. We have a partnership with Howard Brown. We train some of their folks. They teach a class for their clients. Actually, clients who were a part of the Senior Tech Connect program. So I was kind of thinking about the person who mentioned the computer training. They were bringing folks in, giving them Chromebooks and having them, learn the ropes on that. And then they were staying and having this exercise class that we had done some training on. So we have, kind of some in-person classes that happen either from us or from people that we've trained at the Skokie Library, Evanston, and Maywood or Bellwood kind of area, Howard Brown. So we have some connections already from trainings and partnerships that we've done. And so the goal is really to, use funds from the grant to train folks at other organizations who can then, offer these classes in, to your communities in the way that kind of makes sense. I mean, within the bounds of like the way the class it needs to be delivered, but like to be able to offer it in person or on Zoom or kind of however kind of makes sense. So the ones that we're able to offer trainings for, so one of them is Bingo Size, and we're able to provide access to the online training that exists for Bingo Size. These are really not long kind of processes to become trained in these programs and the delivery of these programs. So kind of this one explains what the Bingo Size training entails. The Otago training, depending on where folks are located, would have to be something that we lead, Margaret leads, could happen in person, theoretically, or on Zoom would probably be easier. It takes a couple hours. It's like a live training. It's something that we'd be able to offer for folks who are interested in that. And then lastly, the SAIL program takes a couple of hours, and it's a training that can happen by Margaret via Zoom. And so as far as kind of what that would have to look like, so again, really it is pretty low key, for lack of a better word, but there are some particular steps that have to be followed. So it would require there be somebody from the organization who really wants to take in the training and deliver the program. You know, we'd have to work to schedule the training. The training is free. The idea then is that, you know, you would have to go out and actually, you know, schedule and have a class that is led in the community. The only thing that we kind of need to then submit back to the administration for community living is that when we kind of run these trainings for folks, we just need like attendance logs of the classes that then get held that we can submit back, the identified kind of attendance logs. But that's like the one kind of piece that, you know, the classes have to be offered like per the, you know, curriculum and the timings, you know, how these programs are kind of run and designed. And then also like us in particular, having led the trainings, we kind of need, we need that as well. So basically, you know, and I can share the slides and these links and everything with Janelle. But basically, you know, we have some marketing materials, we have, you know, a registration site, and essentially I put a couple tiny URLs here. So if you go to that first one, that links to the flyer itself that you could print or share or distribute however you want. And then as you see on the flyer, it's got the link to register. And so when somebody goes to register, this is for all of our like 15 or so Zoom classes we offer throughout the week. So people can kind of see the schedule and what they are and kind of sign up. Once they get their email address in there, like we send them information and reminders and that kind of thing. So that's kind of what that looks like as far as the classes themselves. If anybody's interested in kind of sharing that with their organizations or with their clients. I do have my contact information on here as well. My email address is probably the best way. And then I have a landline as well at the office. So that's that phone number. And then there is a link there to schedule Zoom calls, but I'll re-put my email address in the chat as well. And then, you know, if the training is something that's more of interest, again, kind of same thing, like my email address is really like the ticket, I guess, as far as like connecting with us. And then I can kind of help to situate everything with my boss and like kind of get this all set up. So really in all cases, it's kind of my email address or contacting me in some way, and then we can kind of work together on all the rest. So I believe that may be towards the last slide here. So yeah, that was kind of what I was hoping to share. So the bottom line basically is that like we have these free classes that folks are welcome to attend, that they, you know, if you would like to share with your clients, with your organizations, that would be wonderful. You know, beyond that, then with the training, if there's any interest in the trainings, I'm more than happy to kind of facilitate that connection as well.
Well, thank you so much, Andy, for sharing that and for bringing this to our community. Thank you all for even implementing this already as something that we can take part in. And I'm looking forward to seeing how this turns out. So if there's anyone that's interested, we have the information here. I will make sure to follow up and share this in our follow-up email. So no need to worry about how you'll get the links. I'll make sure that everyone has that. And again, thank you, Andy. And so we'll open it up now to any questions or comments from the group. I do see we have some things in the chat. Let me see. All right. Candace says, great presentation. Stephanie Bailey says, thank you. And are the classes open to everyone? And she's sorry if she missed these, already saying that they are.
Yes. So it's open to everybody. I mean, technically it's like 50 plus for the classes, but yes, they're open to everybody. And even the class that's kind of geared towards people who are long-term survivors, friends, allies, like even that class we're sort of focusing it in a particular way, but ultimately anybody can take these classes. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Good question. Renee says such great classes. Thank you for sharing. Louise shares, thank you for sharing. And are you able to join all classes remotely? And what's the typical class size?
Yeah, so everything that's like listed on the registration form, there's roughly maybe 15 or so that people can sign up for. Yeah, everything is remote. It's on Zoom. It's all the same Zoom link actually. So we try to make it as quick, as easy as we can. So it's all remote. I mean, people can take those from anywhere. As far as how many people are in the classes, it does depend a little bit. I mean, some of the classes are small. Some of them are like even like 8 to 10. The majority I would say are closer to about 30, maybe 20, 25 or so approximately. It kind of depends on the class. So somewhere in that range. They're not too big or too small. They're kind of in that general range. It's hard. I mean, exercise is hard, as we all know. I mean, it's hard to get people to sign up for these things and take them consistently, and especially the fact that we continue to offer them on Zoom. And for some people, it's very helpful, and for some people, it's people want to be outside, people want to be at the gym again, or people want to be a part of a class at their local community center. So it has pros and it has cons. But we've chosen to offer, we have some partnerships that are going separately, as I've talked about, but we do still maintain this set of Zoom programming.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that. And Louise had another question that I wanted to kind of clarify with what you answered with her first question, Andy. And is that the classes are small because that's just how many people have joined, or is there a cutoff in terms of how many people can join?
There is no cutoff. So it's a function of just how many people have been joining.
Okay. And then another question that Louise has is it easy for clients to follow the instructions? And she asks this because she has clients whose English is not their first language, and she worries that it may be too hard for them to follow.
Yeah, so I mean, the instructor's video is on, and so I mean, it is all kind of, you're able to see what the instructor is doing. So that is able to help. I can say with regard to Spanish that our instructor is a Spanish speaker. We've never held classes in Spanish, but he is able to do that if that were of interest. I'm not sure if Luis is referring to Spanish in particular, but that's what I would say, is that there is like the visual component, and there are, because these programs are all public domain, essentially, they're all like available programs. I mean, like there are guides, and there are things that can be shared as well to supplement. So guides that have pictures, kind of manuals that explain these different programs and the different movements and the different exercises. So like there are additional supports that we can provide in the event that that's helpful.
That's good to know. Thank you. And the clients that she's referring to are Chinese American older adults.
Gotcha. Yeah, gotcha.
So in terms of the guides, how will they access those guides? Is it available when they register?
So yeah, I haven't in the case of our Tai Chi program, our Tai Chi instructor has certain materials that she requests that I share readily. With our other programs, I haven't been sharing them unless requested. So it's just something that I would have to kind of work with Lisa.
So pretty much participants ask, and then you're able to share those resources.
Right.
Okay, good. And Milton Wright, he asks, since this program is on Zoom and low impact, will any kind of medical release form be needed for participants?
Yeah, so if you do click the registration link that I have on the page here, like the very first thing that comes up, there is like or it may actually not be the very first thing. It may be, it's before you submit. there is like a little kind of liability waiver essentially that just says like, you know, I don't know the text off the top of my head, but that's essentially what we have folks have to agree to in order to submit their registration for the classes.
Awesome. And Nicole Righty asked if the flyer can be sent with the link. And so I'll make sure to send the link that attaches to the flyer. I'll make sure to send that out to everyone when we have the follow-up email. And you guys should have that this week. Are there any additional questions or comments for Andy? All right.
Yes.
Well, that means, Andy, that you did a very thorough job of explaining, and I think we have some good interest. And I really hope that a lot of people are able to take part. We have one more question. She says, sorry, last question. Are all classes evidence-based?
Yeah, the answer
Oh,
is
I'm
yes.
sorry. So you answered. You said yes. Oh, that's good. Well, all righty. So again, everyone, I will make sure to share the links in our follow-up email. Andy, is it okay if I share a PDF of all the slides in the follow-up email?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
so then I'll have the slides. So therefore, if there's any additional questions, the slides should be able to answer, or Andy can be able to answer those. And you guys can have as much resources as you need from that. But thank you again. Give you a nice virtual round of applause.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks.